A year later, Bungie is still making big changes to Destiny 2. The developer has announced Forsaken, the latest expansion for last year's sci-fi shooter. It will give players new locations, missions, and multiplayer maps, but most importantly, it will also overhaul many of the game's systems and mechanics, including the progression system and weapon upgrade system. Those have received major criticism from players, forcing Bungie to make many tweaks and changes already, and they promise that Forsaken will incorporate all the feedback they've received over the last year. The progression changes will take effect for all players whether you buy the expansion or not. It costs $40 US by itself or $30 for season pass holders and will deploy September 4th. This expansion looks ridiculously cool. They put a great video together showcasing all of the new features and stuff, and clearly the message from Bungie is that it's, they've heard the criticism, it's fans first, we're going to make all Destiny players happy. They're giving players a lot of customizable ways to play the game and new content. I like the idea of a bunch of criminals busting out of a prison and stuff, and it just looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. They've sunk so much development effort and money and work into this game, into this franchise, that, I hate to see the negative backlash, but clearly there are unhappy players out there, and Bungie's trying to respond. And when I saw that trailer, I was like, oh my god, I got to play more Destiny 2, and I can't wait for Forsaken. So I'm stoked. Definitely want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the chat and also in the comments below if you're watching this as an archive. Now, so many people have been leaking big E3 games, publishers might want to think about hiring a Hitman. Yesterday evening, developer IO Interactive and publisher Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment accidentally announced an all-new Hitman game. They posted a logo for an unannounced game simply titled Hitman 2 on their website before quickly taking it down, and they're apparently planning an intentional reveal this Thursday. The new game is expected to be a follow-up to the 2016 reboot of the franchise, which was released episodically. IO Interactive inked a publishing deal with Warner Brothers following their split from former parent company Square Enix last year. Great news for IO Interactive. Warner Brothers is a great fit, actually, for this franchise. I loved what they did with the episodes. I played a bunch of them, and I had a great time. Incredibly intricate, lots of great details, and I think they're just, IO is a game that puts something out, watches how people play, is constantly sort of engaged with the community and gets a lot of feedback and sort of alters course on the subsequent issues, even episodes that they do within a certain game. But every time they've come up to bat with Hitman, they've sort of they've moved the needle a little bit forward, and they're really sort of progressive in the way that they think about how to redesign and how to kind of best serve their fans and best serve their brands. And I was happy when they were able to kind of buy the rights back, and I'm super happy that they're going to work with Warner Brothers on all of this stuff. Not that Square Enix was a bad developer or a bad publisher for those guys, and I love the fact that Square Enix was, savvy enough to let these guys run with this. And so I'm psyched for more. I can't wait to see what Warner Brothers and IO have up their sleeves for more Hitman. Another big game franchise that might get a new game at E3 is Diablo. Blizzard is working on a new unannounced Diablo game. That's according to a job posting on their official website, which is hiring for a new Diablo-related project that will be created by a tight-knit crew and have atmospheric dungeons with modern graphics and textures and both 2D and 3D art assets. It's hard to tell exactly what kind of Diablo game this is or how big it will be, and there's no telling how long it will take to make. Blizzard is rumored to be working on a Switch version of Diablo 3, which might be announced at E3. That is an awesome fit. I think every time we stream about what games you want on your Switch, somebody always says Diablo 3, and it's always in our comments under videos like that. So, or Diablo period, maybe it's Diablo Switch or whatever they're gonna do, Diablo would be amazing on the Switch, but I think Blizzard is always working on Diablo games. They take their sweet-ass time making us new Diablo games. This might be stuff for Diablo 4, which won't come out until 2022. Yeah, clearly Blizzard is hard at work on their 4 pillars, their 4 cornerstone franchises now on a constant basis. They have more than enough kind of work through all of these different verticals that they have to, keep players engaged with expansions and new iterations and new characters. But yeah, more Diablo in more places. It still blows my mind that you can't play Diablo, the sort of original Diablo and Diablo 2 on tablets. I think that's just money in the bank for Blizzard, but they must have their reasons why they haven't done that yet. Or even Diablo 3, I think, would work on the more modern tablets as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Diablo 3 in many more places, on many more screens. Now, Bandai Namco is going to let you scratch your Dark Souls itch this fall. The publisher's new action RPG Code Vein is slated to hit consoles and the PC on September 28th. Although the game isn't made by Dark Souls developer From Software, Namco Bandai has long touted it as a spiritual successor to the franchise, offering a similar look and feel, tight combat, and brutal difficulty. Hopefully it lives up to Dark Souls. From Software, on the other hand, hasn't announced their next big project, but E3 is right around the corner. We sure get a lot of Dark Souls-alikes these days, don't we? Dark Souls has influenced so many titles out there. You could say that the more recent God of War was heavily influenced by Dark Souls. Are we getting too many of these kinds of games? I think that hardcore gamers and developers that have been building games for a long time looked at Dark Souls and said, oh my god, this is such a brilliant, brand new kind of take on this sort of crawling genre, this dungeon crawling genre, that it's heavily influenced our industry. I love those games too, but, you know, full confession, they are so brutally difficult, I get frustrated. I just feel like I don't progress enough, you know, in my playtimes with these things. And I've thrown many hours at Dark Souls, but I'm not very good at them. And it breaks my heart to reveal that to all of you, but I think there's many of us in that camp. But I love the design ethos and the idea of sort of scratching and crawling and just, you know, working your butt off to get anywhere in a game and then being rewarded for doing that. And plus all the bragging rights that you have as well. But clearly From Software, they struck a nerve and they made something that has made many people very, very happy, and we're going to start to get a lot more different variations on a theme out there, and that's okay. You know, one thing that I would say is that when you have a game like God of War, which takes heavy influence from that, but sort of twists it and tweaks it and makes it even a little more accessible, that's remarkable to see as well. So we'll see how Code Vein turns out, but right now, it's time for This Day in Everything Cool.